This meeting is being recorded. Episode 11, 10 plus 1. Mr. Todd Giannattasio. How you doing, bro?
What's up, man? Thank you so much for having me on here. It's a true honor.
A true honor.
Yeah,
Not just
man.
an honor, a
No,
true.
true. I give people out there giving fake honors. I'm giving you this is a true honor to be here.
You know what I love specifically at what I'm pointing to right here is the bottom, your lower left. Taylor had her way with your blackboard. Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
Actually, so this is what you see over here is the family. And if I move out of the way, these are all the products that she wants to have in her business. So she wants to have a business called Sister Chefs with her sister will be two years old on Friday. And they're going to sell ice cream, pigs in the blanket, mini pizzas, rattles, and what else we got here? Size 5T shirts.
Sign me up. I will be the first customer for rattles, ice cream, and size 5T. That is absolutely amazing.
Yep. Yeah.
Kudos to you, girlfriend. I love it. I love it. Guys, today, very special guest, dear friend of mine who I've known now for probably, 6-7 years. Todd, how does one explain Todd? Todd is this mystical force of a unicorn. It's like the perfect combination of a basketball, like a point guard and a unicorn. And a digital marketer all rolled into one. And
that's an amazing.
He's got his daughter's on the right track too.
That is an amazing description I've never heard before. A point guard, a unicorn, and a digital marketer. I have my new LinkedIn bio now.
And Todd is the only one. Now you can mark this on your checked off list as well. You are the only one to pull me off of the salad bar over at what's the joint in Waldock, the pizza?
Nellie's.
The only dude to be like, yeah, I don't think we should go to lunch there.
Yeah.
Let's go to vegan. Let's not go to the salad bar at Nellie's. That's Todd's claim to fame. But thank you so much for coming on today. Really is amazing. In all seriousness, this Homage episode, there's a part of it that holds a very near and dear place in my heart, because when Todd when Todd came into my life, again, we have a mutual friend through family, well, my cousin and his cousin, so to speak, that my cousin Barbara and Todd's dad grew up together. Happened to be at the same wedding together, didn't even know it, for my cousin Chelsea like 4 or 5 years ago. So Mike and Chelsea, rock on.
Yep.
But Todd is not only a great person, very smart dude, but amazingly genuine. And one of the biggest things that I love about the way that you are, you have the ability to be empathetic enough to, when you came into my life, our life at DSM, was a trying time. I mean, let's call it what it is. It was a really hard time. Todd rolled up his sleeves, got in there, and did whatever was asked. And this was at a time in his life when you and Michelle were having your second child. You were in the midst of moving from Montclair up to Waldwick. A lot going on in your life. Was like nothing. Came in, rolled up your sleeves, helped us out with whatever we needed, really transformed DSM at a stage where it was kind of like in the middle of making changes. But also, Todd has the ability to tell it like it is. There's no BS when it comes to Todd. And that's truly what's special. It's this balance of truth and honesty and empathy, and he cares. So, my friend, to you, I say homage. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you, man, very much. I'm happy to play even the tiniest part in helping you guys out there.
Well, it was let's call it what it is. It was a difficult time in the company, and you came in and here we are. Almost past 2 years later.
Yeah.
And we're we're kicking, man.
Yeah.
It's busy. Tell us a little bit about what's going on. The cool thing about Todd too, this guy, I don't know when he sleeps, because him and his wife Michelle have more Instagram handles than you. He's a guy cooking. Michelle's a teacher.
We never got the note when they say like, social media can't pay the bills. We didn't get that note. We just started registering for accounts left and right, and they didn't take it for the mortgage. So then we had to figure out how to use them.
It was, I mean, you're doing a ton, and they range all the way from the serious stuff, the work stuff with the digital marketing, all the way down to like easy guy cooking and fun things that you guys have as a family.
Yeah.
Between Tresnick Media, Todd's company that he's had for a while, and Growth Suite and on-air brands. I mean, Todd's now podcasting, like crazy. Tell us a little bit about a day in the life of Todd Giannattasio. What makes it tick? What do you love? Because I think it'll give our audience a little insight into kind of what makes you special. But I want to hear from you. Like, what brought on your love of digital marketing, and how did that kind of translate itself to today?
Sure. So, well, I'll do the digital marketing thing, and then we can talk about day in the life stuff. But
and don't go back to like the Chunk and Goonies thing, like back in the second grade.
Yeah.
To a movie theater,
well, back in
dog poo on fire.
July 18th, 1984, I was born that day. So, but no, I started my career in corporate communications, doing it was called interactive communication. So this was before like content management systems. I was literally every day creating a new HTML page for an article and uploading it to the website, to the corporate website. So like, there was no WordPress or anything similar. So, got started. I was doing web design at Universal Records before that for a little bit, but that was really my main career kickoff, was in corporate America, working at a gigantic company, and like, it was fine. It was fine. And I can't say anything bad about the people I worked with. Like, they were all like cool. Most of them were like at least 10 years older than me at the time. So like, I didn't have like a crew of people that I was like going out with after work or anything. It was just like, you show up, go to your cubicle, dick around for most of the day and like do whatever, and then head out. And you just get to a point where it's like, how much can I keep doing this, where I'm sending stuff out into this like black hole of the abyss, right? Like, I'm coming into work every day, I'm doing some stuff, like I give it to someone who gives it to someone who gives it to someone who gives it to someone, and like, who knows what's happening on the other end of it,
like Office Space.
Yeah, basically like Office Space, right? And I just was like, I didn't like doing stuff and not seeing the results of it. And so that's when I was just like, they say there's no real perfect time for anything. So it was as perfect a time for me as there could be. Left there, started Tresnick Media, which we just passed 10 years, because I wanted to work with, small businesses, entrepreneurs. Like, I wanted to do stuff, like I wanted to make a website that like got people customers, or I wanted to do things that like have an impact. I like to put my foot on the pedal and make the car go, right? And working in corporate America, you don't get that kind of fulfillment or impact or anything like that. So that was really kind of how I got into like more professional marketing versus like just the corporate life kind of thing. That's how it got started.
So, and that was actually one thing, because I saw a post a few weeks ago about 10 years of Tresnick.
Yeah.
When you started it, I guess for me, that we're past 14 now, and there's got to be a better way to do this.
Yeah.
You see so many people. My dad, I guess, was an entrepreneur. He had his own business, but it was from through a different lens. When you make the jump out of the big city, even move to an agency here in New Jersey, and I know, what's the best way to put this? I know like Jersey kind of gets a bad rap, or like a little brother sort of feel to like the Manhattan thing. I got I mean, there's a lot of good firms in the state that are doing a ton of good work.
Yeah.
And that's not like lip service for like DSM or whatever. It's guys like us and the the range of sort of shops from one person gigs all the way up. And I know you and I sort of differ on the trajectory of like growing the company and,
Yeah.
how we wanted to go about doing it. But there's a lot of good work coming out of the state. And
Yeah.
to that point, you mentioned something, putting your foot on the gas and like making it go. Um, there's a certain amount of like a real love of that for me. But like,
Yeah.
how does how many clients does Tresnick have now? Like what drives Tresnick? Like what keeps you in with that small entrepreneur? Because a lot of people, they want to be like, oh yeah, we want to grow this and then get it to a place. Like there's something to be said. It's the same way with DSM. We know our sweet spot. We know what we want to be. And I think that also knowing what you don't want to be
Right.
plays a
Yeah.
part in the journey.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you in terms of like knowing that part of it, of the
Yeah.
equipment?
I mean, I think right now, I think we have 7 active clients. I think we have 4 ongoing and a couple projects that we're working on. And like my goal really is to get us up to 10 clients and then really focus on the growth suite kind of educational media business, because I don't really want to have 100 employees, right? Like I'm cool having a handful of people that are doing really good work. Not necessarily like involved day to day in like the weeds of doing client stuff, but I know the clients know me. Like, I want to have relationships with people. I know you're the same way like that. But at the same time, I also feel like you said, like there's got to be a better way, right? And I feel that so many marketers in companies of all sizes, but I don't feel as bad for marketers at huge companies that are wasting money because they get paid a salary and like they're not, that they got money to blow at the companies. But small business owners, and when I say small business, like the definition of like the SMB market of like 10 to 20 million dollar businesses, which like to some people that sounds huge, but in reality it's really not that big. But those people making misinformed or uneducated decisions about their business and about their marketing that's costing them thousands and thousands of dollars, and that makes a difference for them at the end of the day. Like they don't have $20,000 to blow on a website that sucks, and one of the stories that like I remind myself of regularly is I can't remember if it was before I quit my job and it was a side thing I was doing, or if it was one of my first clients of Tresnick Media when I was like fully self-employed. But it was a pizza place that like a friend of a friend knew them or something, whatever, however that stuff happens in the beginning. People are just referring you these little things, and I'm talking to them and they needed a new website. And they said, we had a great call, couple calls, whatever. And they're like, this is great. We really want to work with you. I said, great. What kind of budget are we working with? And they said, well, we just paid someone $10,000 a couple months ago to build the website we have now, but it doesn't work. We don't like it. It's got all these problems. So because of that, we can give you like $1,000. All right. So forget about the logic of this conversation. Like what? You just spent $10,000 on something that you hate and doesn't work. And now you want to spend $1,000 to do it. Right. But that story, like, I don't know what happened with the previous project, but I've seen it over and over for the last 10 years of like not understanding what is needed in a good website or in proper marketing, right? And like how to make those educated decisions. And like if they just knew a couple things at the right time, like dude, a local pizza place run by some brothers, like they don't have 10 grand to blow on that kind of thing. Like, and shame on whoever sold it to them,
Yeah.
you know? It was probably some big firm that they were like $10,000 was an average project for them, and these guys hired them because they thought it was like, oh, this is big time, like it'll work. It's like, dude, you don't need that for a small business like that. And so that story really drives me. And not that like mom and pops are. I haven't cracked the nut on how to help mom and pops at a way that's economical for everybody involved. But that story just resonates with me over and over again of thinking, I want to get out there and educate and empower these growing small business owners so that they don't blow $10,000 on a crappy website that then they need to get redone right away, or that they don't spend X amount of dollars on some advertising thing that like sounded too good to be true because it wasn't, right? Or like I want to just help people make better decisions so that they can grow their business successfully.
Okay.
And that's kind of what keeps me going.
Well, over I mean, when you were in DSM every day, it was like, let's get results.
Right.
That result, not every result, we're not always going to swing, and bat 1,000.
Right.
But like, failing fast, getting that result. Like, let's learn, let's evolve, let's move, keep going.
Dude, well, I mean, think about it like this. Like, yeah, you're not going to bat 1,000, but you have to be standing in the batter's box, taking pitches and swinging at the ball. But then there's other businesses like this pizza shop. Like, dude, they were swinging in the backyard. There wasn't even a ball in the yard, right? Like, they didn't have a chance to win because they were, like, they didn't have a bat in their hand. Like, so it's like stepping up and like doing the right work the right way. That's what matters. And most people, it's not their jobs to know this. So it's our job to get out and educate everybody. That's why I do. I mean, not to make a weekly podcast sound like some noble act, but like, that's why I love doing a show every week and creating as much content as possible and connecting with people as much as possible, because just educating the marketplace, I think, is just, it's a rising tide that will lift all ships, right? Like, let's help lift the small business economy. Will be better for everybody, from the B2B vendors like us to the people who are buying their stuff.
Well, and one of the really interesting things I think about the way you go about doing it is the dissemination of information. So there's a lot of, let's call it, old school folks in the business that like everything is like a trade secret, and like like, guys, we're not building nuclear missiles here.
Right.
Let's get out and help. So okay, Tresnick starts, guys are coming up on 10 years, then that evolution, and a really awesome part about, I think, Todd Giannattasio, the person, is that dissemination of information. Just what you were saying, like, rising tide makes all ships, like brings all ships up. So tell us about Growth Suite. So Growth Suite, then, now the evolution of Tresnick. Now it's the dissemination of information and making sure that there are resources available to those folks that need it.
Yep.
Tell us about that. Tell us about Growth Suite, that evolution, because this will all come to pass in, like, to know the person. Like, this is what I want. I want people to see the person. But there's this like trajectory of you that started as X is now leading to Y, and I think it'll come full circle in the story. So Growth Suite, tell us about what it is and how it's helping people.
Yeah, so the growthsuite.com is basically like, Tresnick Media is a service company, DSM's a service company. Like, you need something done for you, there's companies that do it for you. The Growth Suite is a place that we sell training programs, educational programs. We do weekly office hours calls. We have a private Facebook group so people can come in and ask questions and get help. And it's for the entrepreneur, the small business owner, the small business marketer who like just needs the right advice and guidance, and someone to show them, hey, here's the fundamentals of what you need to be doing and how they work at like a conceptual level. So that you're heading in the right direction. And then once you get the car on the track, it's like, now we can start talking and having valuable conversations. And that's where our Facebook group and office hours all come into play. So the Growth Suite is like educational media business that's like, on a mission to really educate and help people at scale, because, there's only so much time in the day to provide services, right? Like, employees are working 9 to 5 or whatever. And even crazy entrepreneurs like us are working, you still only have 24 hours in the day. So there's only so much time you can give to provide services and make things happen. And so the Growth Suite is my way of finding a leverageable, a scalable way to impact more businesses by educating and empowering them.
How, I know, because I see it on Facebook and things like that, but the range of folks that I see coming in and out of Growth Suite is immense. I mean, there's people from all walks of life, all kinds of training.
Yeah.
It's super cool. Like, when you say the dichotomy of the audience is amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's, like I said, it's a testament to you. It's a testament to kind of like how you've scaled it, what you're trying to do. There are certain parts of me that wonder, like, when you sleep, which is great in a way, and in another way it's like,
yeah,
what else going forward on top of Tresnick and Growth Suite? What else is what other arrows are in your quiver, Mr. Giannattasio?
Well, in 2019, I co-founded a tech company called Zeotag. It's artificial intelligent video chaptering, basically. We're focused on enterprise stuff right now, so I actually don't need to put a lot of time into that. There's an enterprise team taking care of it. But that's something cool that I got involved in. I have the On Air Brand Show every Wednesday at noon on Facebook and all your favorite podcast platforms. And that's where, the guys over at podmax.co, we have a cool event helping share stories. Like everybody I team up and partner with, it's all aligned on this same mission of like helping other people raise their impact, right? Like working with you guys and helping the clients with DSM. Teaming up with Podmax, where their mission is to change the world one mic at a time, right? Like let's get everybody on more podcasts so that we can share more messages and spread good stories and all that kind of stuff. And I always say your vibe attracts your tribe, and the more you can put yourself out and just kind of talk about like what you want to do, what your vision is, who you want to help, like it's going to attract people into your world one way or another, either directly or the universe will send them through the back door, right? Like I like to operate with the belief of, if you knock on 10 doors, the universe will knock on 1,000 for you. And that's kind of what's been going on, is like just aligning as much of the different stuff that I do. It's still all kind of aligned on that same mission. And so they all still kind of line up together. And I got to say, over in March, I started this program with a coach called the Transformational Coaching Program. And it's all about mindset, inner work, subconscious identity, reprogramming and stuff like that. And like, I'm like a total geek on all kinds of learning stuff. Like I'm always working on my skills, taking courses, classes, working on new things from a marketing perspective, like the skills we need to do a good job. And I would say over the last 10 years plus that I've been investing tens of thousands of dollars in my personal education. This program is the one that's, I don't want to say it's by far the most impactful on me and has made the biggest change and up level in my life. But it's almost like I worked for 10 years acquiring all these skills and putting them together, and then like sitting down and doing the inner work that now ties it and like has opened me up to receiving and flowing more to create more expansion in the world. It's like sounds weird kind of stuff, but like, man, I can't promote it enough. Like that inner work and like learning who you are, what you want to do, the impact you want to have, and then like, taking that aligned action is the best advice that I've ever gotten or could give.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know, maybe we're just aligned on that. It doesn't sound weird. And
Yeah.
one of the cool things with Todd and I is that in terms of, if you're talking about a tract with regards to like how we're going to, like, we're not fully on the same track in terms of like leading, and like Todd's into that digital marketing stuff. Like I'm more leading the company with like putting the pieces around and what have you. But there's so much value that we've gotten to just sitting and talking, and the best way to explain it, there's parts that I aspire to because of that personal journey that you're on. There's times in my life where, and maybe you've had it too, where you're on this journey and you're like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing?
Yeah. Oh man.
And
regularly.
There's a lot of days where, everybody thinks, like, especially over the last 15 months with like COVID, or 16 months with COVID, like everybody's starting their own gig and like doing and they're realizing, like, I've had a lot of people that have come to me, a few people that I've mentoring, a few young kids that like came out of Ramapo College, and they're like, this is really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Like, what'd you think of it?
Yeah.
It's not easy. This is not easy when you have other people's lives and even your own life, and you're kind of navigating that day to day.
Yeah. And it's crazy, like talking about people who like start their own gig or go out as a freelancer. And like, I said before, 10 to 20 million dollar business, like to some people that sounds big. Like if you're like, oh, I have a skill set and I want to start, like, I'm going to go out and be a freelancer. I'm going to, start my own thing because I can do this. You can live a good life as a freelancer, right? But as you have to recognize, like, you just have, you're on your own, and that's a job or whatever it is. But as soon as you decide to build a business, you can't, like, small becomes relative, right? Like $10 million a year is small in the scheme of businesses. Like, you can't have a business that does $200,000 a year because you can't afford to pay anybody. And, it costs money to run a business. And the other thing is funny, like the two things that have had the biggest impact on my business in the last like 5 years are going into this mindset program and hiring a CFO. And it's like, that's not the stuff that, like, you say, like, oh, you're, digital marketing agency, what's the best, thing that's happened? It's like a mindset coach and a CFO. Like, and I know Sharp made a huge difference for you guys too. And when we sat down and he did like an 18-month review, back 18 months and then projecting, and he's like, yo, he's like, you're fine. You have a glorified job. He's like, you need to 10x this if you want it to be a business, basically. Like, you need to reach this point so that you can have just 2 people working for you. And then that's when it becomes a business. And for the people who are thinking, like, in this economy, like, oh, I'm going to start my own gig and whatever, and I'm going to, building a business, it's like, oh, I could do it so much better and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, there's a whole, like, whatever you think it is, that's not what building a business is, right? Like, it's a completely different job.
Well, and an interesting part of that is that over the last 14 years, the inflection points of my journey, so like kind of on top of what you're talking about, where all the times you think you know what you're doing or how you're doing, and that's how it's going to, like, oh, if I do A, then B is going to happen. And if I do A and B, C is going to happen. Those inflection points of knowing when to let something go. So, like, for instance, with Charlene.
Yeah.
Charlene, like, I was doing the first, I don't know, 8 years of the business. I was running the books on top of doing That's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Once I had the serendipity to be like, to walk into her husband's office, who was the athletic director or rec director in Wyckoff, who was my football coach, and be like, yo, Andy, anybody who needs, like, I need to see it, the business is growing.
Yeah.
Like, Charlene needs to get it. Sarah's in kindergarten. Charl, appreciate that. But having somebody of that mindset too, that is like, Todd kind of was there through the process of, like, we're an enclave for New York City expats. That's like what we are. It's not for everybody. It's if you want to commute to the city and you want to do that, and like that ain't us. And you want to make, like, it's about work-life balance, right? And finding those people that embody those, values. I think that's another important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, all right. So you have, all right, now we're on to like 15 things that you're doing. So inquiring minds want to know now, do you actually sleep?
I do sleep. I do a pretty good job of, and this is basically forced by the kids, right? Like, when I wake up, I try to wake up early enough. Like, if I wake up at 6, I can have like an hour to myself. And that's like having a cup of coffee, I do a daily meditation / self-hypnosis. I try to do it 3 times a day. I definitely do it at least in the morning and at night. The midday one gets pushed around sometimes. Doing daily journaling of, like, first thing is gratitude list, right? Like, things that you're grateful for. Look over the calendar for the day, fill in the schedule, and then look, what are my top goals for the day and for the week, and doing those kind of things and getting that knocked out. And then the girls wake up and it's like, all right, I can't be doing work that early anymore. So then they're up, I get the girls up, give them breakfast, get them ready for the day. And my wife, who also has a business, she takes care of the kids, like, basically from 9 to 5. So she wakes up and she runs a business. So she runs her business basically from 7 to 9 a.m. and then she takes the kids over. So then, I got the day to do work, but then 5 o'clock, I got to go back I got to be back downstairs and take care of the girls. And so until they go to bed, I mean, man, I'm lucky if Taylor's asleep by 9:30 these days. And at that point, I'm falling asleep in bed with her. So then I'm just like dragging myself to my own bed. So it's about focusing on the higher leverage activities that I can get done and move the needle on certain things, keep the ball moving, don't be a bottleneck for the other people on the team. And that's been a huge thing. And
that balance is, and as you get kids and as they get older, I mean, you're really, I don't even know if you're yet with Taylor at the stage where it's like sports, like
yeah.
nights now with Luca from 6 to 8,
Yep.
you got baseball or football during the week. That's like a whole nother.
Yeah. And she actually, so what's interesting too is, so she started this thing. Wyckoff has this thing called Multisport. So it's like 2 weeks of baseball, 2 weeks of soccer, 2 weeks of track, 2 weeks of lacrosse, and she's done that for the last like 2 years, minus one of the seasons they didn't have it because of COVID. But this past season, which just ended, was on Wednesday afternoons at 4 o'clock, and we put it there so that I could take her. And there was like one or two of the, I think it ended up being like 8 or 10 weeks. And like one or two of the times I was like in my head about to like tell my wife, hey, like I need you to take Taylor because I need to do whatever. And like, there's always going to be days where something has to get done. And then I like, before I talk to her, I like check myself and I'm like, wait, the reason I do this stuff during the day is so that I can spend my time with my family. I'm like, so if I'm canceling my family time to do work, it's like you so easy to get like flipped around and confused. And I was like, I'm like, I'll do this later. Like if it means I have to stay up later tonight, then I'll do that, but I'm not going to cancel the family stuff that I'm supposed to be doing. So
part of the journey, and one of my core reasons for starting this, and this was before I had kids, was to be able to coach youth football. When I started DSM with my brother-in-law and this other guy, Chris, who we're buddies with in Wyckoff. And that was a core value part of it, of the work-life balance. And now it's getting played out in a different way with my own kids.
Yeah.
And it's so important when you say like to be able to focus yourself on and that inner conversation you're having. There are so many days like Olivia's now taking tennis at this place around the corner in Wyckoff. And there's so many days at like 4:30 when she got to go. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But then you have to seriously check yourself and be like, dude, this is the reason why you started it. If you got to come back down after, my two older ones now are kind of like up in their room and doing whatever. But, with Tessa, or putting Tessa to bed at 8 o'clock. Like, that's why you did this.
Right. Exactly.
Perspective.
Yeah.
One last thing, because this is the beauty of you. Todd and I have suffered, and he knows what I'm going to say before I'm going to say it. Todd and I have suffered for like 25 years outside of 12 and 13 with Los Knicks. And this year we had more Instagram and text at like 9:30 at night. Thank you, Leon Rose.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julius Randle. Thank you, RJ. I'm feeling good things coming
Tibbs,
on.
man, you can't leave Tibbs out. You know what I just found out? I just found out today that he was the shooting coach for Larry Johnson when he hit the 4-point play. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. Found that out today.
This is another beautiful thing about Todd. He's also a useless sports encyclopedia. So many long suffering years. Give me your.
I see the light.
Yes, give me your take on what's going to happen next with all their cap space and their draft capital.
Well, the Clippers are gonna lose to the Suns, and Kawhi is gonna be like, man, the Clippers don't have the magic here. I need to go. And Tibbs looks like an awesome coach to play for. I'm gonna head out there. The Knicks are gonna get Kawhi Leonard to be the star here. No, I'm just saying. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't want that to happen. I would love to see like Randall keep his role as he is as like the leader, but not a superstar, right? Like the Knicks. This is what I think the team this year was so awesome that it was like the Big 15, right?
Yep.
Like it wasn't the Big Three; it was the Big 15.
It was Julius Randle all the way down to Theo Pinson.
Yeah, exactly. And I would love to see the young guys just develop and keep them together. I would like to see them not try to make a crazy splash and do something. I think the chemistry of what's there is what made them good. And I would love to see the guys like, man, IQ is, he can be a money scorer, that we need. Like, he can be a guy that develops into that. RJ, I think, is going to have a great career. And getting Mitchell Robinson back is going to be huge. So I would love to see them continue to develop with the guys they have and not go crazy back to the, like, recruiting all the overpriced free agent days.
So I'm going to give you one trade, and I know I'm biased about this because I'm a humongous Villanova fan.
Okay.
I'd love to see them get Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
To run the point guard.
Yeah.
I think he's ready. I think with Dallas, with everything going on down there, Dallas, we gave you Porzingis. You can let Brunson come to the Bright Lights big city. We could reconnect Rick Brunson back in his Nick days. Like, I would love to see that one move happen. And I don't think, to your point, it upsets the chemistry.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know if Rose will be back. I hope he is, but he's not, what will he be next year? 15 minutes a game he can give, he's not that old, but he's just worn out, and I love him. And I think he's a great, he obviously, look, all the old guys on the team had a great impact. Otherwise they wouldn't have done what they did. And at the time I was like, I can't believe we just got destroyed by the Hawks, but shit, look at the Hawks now, man. They're lighting everybody up. So
without last night.
Without Young.
Yeah. All right. One last question. And then I'm going to let you off the hook. Giants 2021 season. So Todd's first daughter's name is Taylor, after Lawrence Taylor, huge Lawrence Taylor guy. What are your thoughts on this Gettleman offense?
I think, besides for Eli's last season, I feel like every season was, I don't know if we're going to win the Super Bowl or if we're going to be like 5-11, and I feel like we're back to that place again. Like, I don't know, it could be good, could be bad. I think we'll see this year. Everybody's saying that it's Daniel Jones' year to step up. Like, this is the year he's got to prove himself, or otherwise he's, I don't know that he wouldn't be on the team next year, but they start looking in another direction for franchise quarterback, which on top of it just being like, it is that year for him, but then having the pressure of that on top of him will really show, like, if he does step up and shine, like, then I think for the next 10 years, like, we'll have a shot. We'll always have a shot. Right. So we'll see, man.
All right. Well, there you have it.
What's going on with you? I haven't talked to you about the whole Packers situation, man. What's gonna happen there?
I don't even. Can I? Since it's my
take the fifth on that one.
Yeah, can I just take the fifth? I could go on for this for. I could go on.
Did you see? I'm sure you saw Aaron Rodgers on Jeopardy.
Yes.
And the guy says, "Age is yeah."
The field goal. Who kicked the field goal?
That was great.
Yeah, that wasn't mine.
That's great.
The Green Bay Packers, I have a feeling they're going to come to some sort of conclusion where they're going to make a deal under the table where he's got one more season. They're going to give it a go. And then, I mean, the cap kit is way less next year.
Yeah.
It is a troubling scenario. As a Packer fan, it's everything. I mean, I know, like, I'm sitting here and you're like, dude, world's smallest fiddle. You've had 30 years. Nothing against Eli, but it's troubling. It's one of those scenarios where you see in sports, it's like the power of the player versus the power of the, of the management. And this is where the world is today. But before I let you go, in all sincerity, I want to say homage to you. A heartfelt thank you for everything that you've kind of meant to me as a person, as a friend, to the company, and how you've selflessly helped us. I know you're on the phone with Enrico every week, and you're doing everything you can to impart wisdom on our team. So I thank you for that. I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for being a great person, for sharing your knowledge, for not holding it back, and for and mostly for helping other people. You have a heart for people, man. So
thank you, man. I appreciate it. And thank you, not just, for everything we've done and been through together so far, but also the scheduled call for this recording got me out just in time to not have to change a poopy diaper. So
first one ever. Sorry, Michelle. You're gonna have to pay for that on the other end. When
yeah.
On air, you better get Michelle over to like Saddle River Inn for dinner.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much.
The last minute to you. What if you had one bullet point for young people, for the audience, as a thank you, as a give back for them, as a piece of advice? What would that be?
Your wife recommended a book to us by the guy was Patrick Lencioni. I forget which book it was. The Advantage, I think. That's the one that's standing out on the bookshelf. I'm not sure if that was the one that she recommended. And one of the things in the beginning of the book was about sophistication bias, and that people just, when something looks or seems easy, they just want to make it harder for themselves for any number of subconscious reasons. So either, if it looks simple, it must not work, or I need to work harder, I need to do more work, I need to do more. And I think sophistication bias is one of the biggest things for entrepreneurs, for sure, but for everybody in life, is don't make things harder than they need to be.
Couldn't agree more. I love it. Yeah. Episode 11 is in the books. Mr. Giannattasio, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All you do, man. And keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing an awesome job at it.
Yeah, thank you. You too, man. I love you. I love what you guys are all doing there. I love the team there. So keep up the great work over there.
Thank you. Thanks. Audience, episode 11 in the books. Deuces.